Okay, I think we are live. And so just wanted to make sure if somebody can just in the question section, can you see me? Can you hear me right now? Can you just post a comment to let me know that you can see me? If you go to the top right-hand corner, there's a question mark. And if you could just say, hey, we can see you, that would be greatly appreciated. So I know that I'm not just talking to myself right now. Oh, and I see that question mark. Awesome. Thank you so much. Just wanted to make sure that it was showing live. So welcome students, welcome parents, welcome family members to our Cheyne Secondary School Information Session. And this session is for grade 7 families, but I know that there might be some grade 8s here and there may be some grade 6s even here, and that's completely fine. We welcome you and hope this information can be useful to you. Once again, my name is Alan McCautry, and I'm the guidance teacher for Cheyne Middle School. I'm very fortunate to be the guidance counselor at Cheyne. And I met with a bunch of our grade 7 classrooms today and basically said, well, you may be wondering why in grade 7 are we already talking about high school. In some ways, it probably feels like you just arrived at middle school and now we're talking about secondary school. And the reason that is there's only about 9.5 weeks left of grade 7. And September's coming when you're a grade 8 student, and then timelines start picking up and moving. And in fact, if our students are applying for something like a regional learning choice program, which we're going to talk about in a bit, that happens in October. And all of our students at Cheyne will have their courses selected for high school by the end of December, by the time they go away for the December winter break. And so the timelines are coming quickly. And I know for myself, information is important to ease any worries or anxiety that I may have surrounding something that I'm unaware about. And it is normal for our students to be anxious about high school and anxious about the future. And that's in a regular year. We're in the midst of this pandemic, which has changed everything this past year. And so just add that on top of things, there is a lot of stress, and we need to just have that message to our students that it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to focus on, don't worry about high school, worry about right now. But I'm going to try to give you as much information as possible that you'll have and be able to use down the road. Okay, so before we begin in any presentation we like to do a land acknowledgement to just recognize that the land in which we reside, it's treaty territory, and all of us, I am right now, I'm not in Brampton, I live in Halton Hills in Georgetown, but as you can see on this map here, there's a huge chunk of land that was part of Treaty 19, and that treaty was made in 1818, and that is the treaty made with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. And we just acknowledge that they were here before us, and they were the caretakers of this land, and many of them still reside on this territory, and so we're mindful of that. Okay, so as we get into talking about high school, well, the first thing we should talk about is, well, what are your home secondary schools? So for students, you coming to Cheyne Middle School, it's based upon your address, where you live. That is the catchment of coming to Cheyne Middle School. And it is the same thing when it comes to secondary school. Our middle school feeds into 2 separate high schools. And not every Peel Middle School is like that. We're one of the few that feed into more than one high school. The majority of our students will be feeding into Fletcher's Meadow Secondary School on Chinguacousy Road there. But we also still have about 80 students, 80 grade 8s, that will be feeding into Heart Lake Secondary School on Conestoga. An easy way to know whether you're Heart Lake homeschool or Fletcher's Meadow is McLaughlin Road. Any houses that are east of McLaughlin are going to be Heart Lake Secondary School. Anything west of McLaughlin is going to be Fletcher's Meadow. Well, there's a more specific way to find out what is your home high school. And I'll try to do that right now. If you go to the Peel Schools website, www.peelschools.org, right on the home page, you're going to see this layout here. And there's going to be a section that says Find Your School. I'm going to try to do this live and see if it works for us. They're doing some changes in the website, so not everything is working right now. But here we are live on the website, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the address of Cheyne Middle School, which is 236. And then when I go down here, I'm going to start typing in Queen Mary Drive, and you'll see a drop-down menu appears with all the schools. Now, because I want to know about high school, I'm going to go to grade 9, not the current year. I want to look at next year. And I'm going to look at all programs for now, because I'm going to show you why in a second. So when I click search, you are going to see all these programs show up. The first one right here in green, this is the home high school. So it shows that anyone that lives right on Queen Mary there, right around Cheyne, the home high school is Fletcher's Meadow, right? But then there's some other choices. We don't have French immersion at our school, but let's say there was a student with French immersion that lived on Queen Mary. Brampton Centennial would be their home school. Let's say B.D. Fleming is a school that offers extended French, where some students leave in after grade 6 and they start extended French. Their home high school for extended French is Turner Fenton. And then there's all the regional programs like IBT, International Business and Technology, the IB program at Harold Brathwaite, there's strings at Central Peel, the arts. Those are all regional learning choice programs. And if a student applies to one of those programs, that would be the home school. Basically, for regional learning choice programs, if they get accepted, there's schools north of Highway 401, and then there's schools that are south of Highway 401 for offering that. But for this case, this student here would be a home high school of Fletcher's. If I just go to regular track, just regular home high school, not a regional program or anything like that, you'll see right there Fletcher's Meadow. And what it will do, it will show you where your house is, and that's Cheyne right there, and it will show you where the school is located, right in that boundary. So that's the first step in kind of figuring out high school, is knowing what is your home high school. Are you a Fletcher student or are you a Heart Lake student? I should also mention at the end of my presentation, if you have any questions, I'm going to go through and just answer them. There is a question and answer section. If you see the question mark on the top right hand corner, you can click on that and I'll read through. If I can't answer the question, I will get back to you. I'll find the answer. I will email you. I'll contact you, and just to make sure you have the correct information that you need. Okay, so that's what you need to do, is find what your home high school is. That's one of the first steps. So let's say you know you're a Fletcher's Meadow student, you're a Heart Lake student. So let's start talking about high school in Ontario. There are basically 3 requirements for students to graduate from high school to get their secondary school diploma. And those requirements are, first of all, 30 credits. So a student needs to earn 30 credits. And credits, one course is usually worth 1 credit, with the exception in grade 10, there are 2 half credit courses. That would be civics and career studies. Both of those are half credit courses, and together they make up 1 full credit. So there are 30 credits. So most students are getting their credits within 4 years of high school, grade 9, 10, 11, 12. Some students go back and do a 5th year if they want to improve some marks in a course, but most are taking 4 years to graduate from high school. The second requirement to graduate high school is to successfully complete the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test. So this is a standardized test that takes place in grade 10. Now, all students in grade 9 will write a math test. It's like EQAO that our students did not write last year due to COVID, and our students this year are not writing due to COVID. But EQAO tests, they don't count for your overall grades or your marks or graduation. However, the Ontario Secondary School Test is a graduation requirement. So all grade 10 students would be writing this literacy test, and that is one of the requirements to graduate high school. Now, what happens if a student does not pass that test? They can have an opportunity to write it again the next year. And if they keep not being successful in passing this test, there's something called a credit recovery course for the literacy test that they can take in place of it to still graduate from high school. And the final requirement to graduate from high school is 40 hours of community involvement volunteer hours. Now, due to COVID this past year, students that are in grade 12 right now, it was cut in half. They only need 20 hours to graduate. But assuming that our world keeps opening up again, that 40-hour requirement will likely be back by the time you guys are ready to graduate from grade 12. And so 40 hours of community involvement hours, you can actually begin collecting those hours the summer after you graduate from Cheyne. So the summer of grade 8 into grade 9, you can start volunteering. There are some parameters when it comes to volunteering. It can't be for a paid position. So let's say you know somebody who works at a convenience store and they say, sure, work in here, I'll give you your hours. It can't be for a regular paid position. So it's for volunteering, and it can, there's numerous different areas. So let's say volunteering in a community center, volunteering in a church, in temple, lots of different opportunities. And when a student is in grade 8, I usually do a presentation on the types of things that are allowed to volunteer and the types of things that are not allowed to volunteer. And so students collect their hours. There's a form that they can fill out with the supervisor that watched them, how many hours they volunteered, and then they hand that into the guidance office at their high school, and those hours get tracked. I'm not just a teacher, I'm a dad as well. And so I have 2 boys, and one of my boys is in grade 7, just like many of you. And I have another boy who's in grade 10 and finishing up grade 10 right now and headed to grade 11. And he is done his volunteer hours already. So that graduation requirement is done. You could volunteer 40 hours next summer after you graduate from Cheyne and get it all done within 1 summer. And I would recommend not waiting till grade 12. And I've heard stories of students that have had great marks or good marks, and they have not graduated on time because they didn't have their 40 hours of community involvement hours. So those are the 3 things that a student in Ontario needs to graduate from high school. 30 credits, 30 earned credits, complete the literacy test in grade 10, and then their 40 hours of community involvement hours. Now, what do those 30 credits actually look like? Well, 18 of the 30 credits are compulsory. They're mandatory. And so that would mean 4 credits in English. And so if you assume 4 years of high school, grade 9, 10, and 11, and 12 English. Math is 3 credits. You need 3 credits in mathematics to graduate, 2 credits in science, 1 credit in Canadian history, 1 credit in Canadian geography, 1 credit in the arts, 1 credit in health and physical education, 1 credit in French as a second language, and then those 2 half credits I talked about, half credit in career studies and a half credit in civics, plus 12 optional credits that students will have choice. Now, the further you go into high school, the more choice you have for optional credits. In grade 9, there's not a lot of choice, but there still is some. So in grade 9, a student will have 8 courses. 8 courses is a full load. Now, in a regular pre-COVID year, what would happen is you'd have 2 terms. One term you'd be having 4 courses, you do your exams, and then you get your next 4 courses. Nice and simple, and that's the way it is. During COVID, they used something called a quadmester, where you have 2 courses at a time, and then and you have that for about 10, 11 weeks, and then you get your next 2 courses, and those 8 courses are split up that way throughout the year. Of course, everyone right now is home and online, but the way it was before, my son is doing a quadmester at his high school, and so what it would happen would be, so he'd have a timetable where for one class he would be in person in the building, then he would walk home. In his second class he would be online, and that would follow a schedule. The next week it's the other way around. The opposite class he's in the building with, and the other class he has online. And so at most during the pandemic, at most he would be at school 3 half days. That's the most. And the weeks where he wasn't there as much, 2 half days. And so that's the same way that it's happening with the Peel District School Board in terms of the quadmester. And hopefully things keep opening up and regular classes taking place again in the high schools, and you're back to 4 and 4. But I just wanted to let you know that maybe for this September, our grade 8s going in, you may still have that quadmester schedule. So grade 9, you have 6 compulsory or mandatory courses. Well, what are those 6 mandatory courses? Phys ed, physical health or physical education and health. Gym class, as some people refer to it, that is mandatory for grade 9, and you need 1 gym credit to graduate high school. Canadian geography is a mandatory credit. French as a second language is a mandatory credit. English, math, and science. So those 6 courses you will be taking. But that means there are 2 optional credits left over. And for those 2 optional credits, typically grade 9 students choose one of them to be an arts credit, because you need at least 1 arts credit to graduate high school. So let's talk about Fletcher's Meadow for an example. They have lots and lots of arts credits there. So if you're a Fletcher student, you could take Introduction to Band or Instrumental Music. If you already know how to play an instrument, they have Experience Music. You can take drama. You can take dance. You can take visual art. You can take Indigenous perspective art, so art focusing on Indigenous work. You can take integrated art, which takes a little bit of all the different arts, a little bit of drama, a little bit of dance, a little bit of music, a little bit of visual art, and puts it all together in 1 course. So those are all the different types of choices that you can have for an arts credit. The second optional credit that you would take is typically what we would consider a tech course. And at Fletcher's Meadow, for example, they have 3 courses that they would offer. One is information and communication in business, so business. and that's using spreadsheets, databases, and such on the computer. Another one is called Exploring Technologies. And that's where you may be using some of it on computer where you're doing graphic design, but also you may be using tools, building things, just like our stack room with Mr. Coley at Cheyne. That's Exploring Technologies. And then another neat program that some students like to go into at Fletcher's, they have Exploring Hairstyling and Aesthetics. So they have a Cosmo lab where you can learn hairstyling and aesthetics. And so those are the tech courses. So fun, and these courses are designed just to introduce students to different fields, right? It doesn't mean if you take one of these courses that this is setting the path for the rest of your life and you must become a carpenter if you go into Exploring Technologies. That's not the case. It's just introducing and exposing our students to lots of different areas. And so they can see what they're interested in, what they're good at, what they become passionate about. So that's grade 9, 8 courses, 6 of them are compulsory and 2 are optional. We talked about that literacy test, and well, what does it do? Well, it measures reading and writing skills, and it's designed and marked by the Education Quality and Accountability Office of the government. That's EQAO office. Okay, again, the 40 hours of community involvement hours. So as I mentioned earlier, you can start accumulating your community involvement hours in the summer after grade 8. And why does the government have this? Well, it's one, to learn about yourself. What are things that you really enjoy? To develop self-confidence and even gain work experience. So people working in volunteering, they can use this job experience to apply for a real job later on, a real part-time job, or even use it to apply to a university program. And in fact, I've heard stories of people that have on their university application have had 1,000 hours of volunteer experience by the time that they apply to the university that they're trying to get into. And that might be part of their application where schools, colleges, universities aren't just always looking at your marks, they're looking at the whole person. What are they involved in? What are they doing? Okay, so when you get to high school, you are selecting courses, and we're going to talk about how you'll select those courses in a little bit, but you need to know that there's basically, or there were for grade 9, there were 3 or 4 different types of courses. And so when you see a high school course, it will always look like this, where you'll see the first 3 letters, and that represents the department. So in this case, ENG represents the English department. And then you would see a number. The 1 identifies the grade. So 1 is grade 9, 2 grade 10, 3 grade 11, and then grade 12. The P shows the course type, and then the 0 is just like a place filler. Now here's the thing, there are open level courses, and an open level courses like phys ed or art or business, and one of those courses means there are no prerequisites. Anyone can take it. Doesn't matter if you're planning on going to university or college, anyone can take an open level course. Locally developed courses, these, I talk about this a little bit more in a second. These are courses that are developed locally at the high school, and they're intended to lead to workplace settings. They're for students that are not necessarily going to be going to university or college after high school. They're going right into the work setting. And then I have crossed out here applied and academic, because we need to talk about this for a second, because applied and academic courses are no longer in grade 9 and 10. And I'll explain that to you in a second. So again, open level, designed to prepare you for further study in certain subjects like phys ed or technology. Locally developed, these courses lead to workplace or open pathways in grade 11 and 12 and are offered at some Peel District School Board high schools, and both Heart Lake and Fletcher's do offer locally developed, at least for next year. Now applied level courses used to be offered in grade 9 and 10, and these courses led to somebody going into college pathway in grade 11 and 12. Academic courses, these were the courses that led to university degree pathway courses or university prep courses in grade 11 and 12. So new for this coming September, the Peel District School Board is de-streaming courses. Well, what does this mean? So all grade 9 and 10 courses will be de-streamed as of the September that you are going to be in high school, September 2022. Already, Heart Lake and Fletcher's Meadow for this September have de-streamed all their courses. So all of our grade 8s, when they go, they don't have the choice of selecting academic or applied courses. There is no university pathway course. There is no college pathway. What does it mean? It means that when you take your English class, when you take your science class, when you take your math class, it will be just like Cheyne. You'll have different range of abilities, strengths. You may be really strong in one class and may be not as strong in another class. And so what you're going to take grade 9 and 10 as you go through that curriculum is to decide, and it delays that choice. So now you will wait till grade 11 to decide, am I going the college pathway? Am I going the university pathway? And I think this is going to really help out a lot of students, because what they found in the past, there might have been students that went into the applied stream in grade 9 and 10, and you know what? That kind of penalized them, because by the time grade 11 came around, they couldn't go to that university stream because they had taken applied. So it takes away that decision making happening at such a young age. And by the way, I always have to say this because this is a trick question that I always ask all of our students at Cheyne. What's better, university or college? And then overwhelmingly, students will always say university is. And the answer is, it depends on the student, what's better, right? And that's a big part of high school and post-secondary. There are college programs that are world-renowned in Ontario. For example, a lot of the animation that you will watch when you watch a Disney Pixar film, that's not university, that is college, and that's Sheridan College, particularly the Oakville campus, right? And so it depends what's right for you. What are your interests? What's your future aspirations? What do you know about yourself? That will decide what's right for you, college or university. And so it's important to know and understand that. So de-streaming, you'll be in math. It's not academic, it's not applied. You're just in grade 9 math. That's the way it's going to work. Grade 11 is the time that you'll choose, are you taking the university pathway or are you going to take a college pathway? Okay, our grade 7 students have already been introduced to something called My Blueprint. So My Blueprint is a comprehensive education and career planning program available to all grades 7 to 12 students through the Peel BYOD portal. The use of My Blueprint will help students and families make informed decisions about course selections in secondary school, which occurs again in the fall of grade 8. So you will be selecting your courses for all of high school through the program My Blueprint. Now, the Ministry of Education in Ontario says that in grade 7, every single student needs a digital portfolio, and they call it an individual pathway plan. And for us in Peel, we use My Blueprint for that, the program My Blueprint, where it's your future planning. Now, our grade 7 students have all been introduced to My Blueprint because I spent time with them in the fall showing them where My Blueprint is and showing them some of the features. I hope to join them again before the end of the school year to once again remind them. It's a great program because what you can do in My Blueprint is map out, and it's not set in stone. You can make a million plans, but you can map out the courses that you're going to take from grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then there's an amazing feature. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, it will say pathway eligibility. So based upon those courses that you're planning, for high school, it will show you what college, what university of programs are actually available to you across North America. And you can see the individual programs, and you can research universities, colleges, and even jobs. Okay, what do I need to become this career? Okay, what post-secondary schools offer this? What are their requirements to be accepted into these schools? And it will tell you even how much the tuition is for that school. It will tell you what type of grades, what prerequisites. A lot of our science-based jobs and engineering, computer-based jobs, you're going to need specific grade 11 and 12 courses, such as physics, biology, chemistry. Those are all things. And so My Blueprint will help you with all of that information. And the place where you access My Blueprint is your student BYOD portal, right? So all of our students are aware of this. This is what they're using. They log in with their BYOD account. And if they go into the search bar, I think on the bottom right-hand side for a student account, the My Blueprint should be right here, but you can search it. You can just go into the search bar and click My Blueprint. And there's a section there called High School Planner. So you can use the High School Planner to map out the courses and see prerequisites in all subject area. And so you will click like there for English, and it's going to be already aligned to your home high school. So if you're already a Fletcher student, it's going to show that home high school, Fletcher's Meadow, or it's going to show Heart Lake. It will even give you a description of the course. What are the types of things that you do in that course? And so this is typically what, as we talked about earlier, this is what a grade 9 course selection would look like. Remember with the mandatory courses: English, mandatory; math, mandatory; science, mandatory; geography, mandatory; health and physical education, mandatory. One that they don't show mandatory, which is one of these would be your French. And then you have your 2 optional credits. One is an arts credit, and then your second one would be business, exploring technologies, one of those courses that you would put in there. And that's your 8 courses for grade 9. And so what you're going to do, typically, there's a requirement for all students to have their courses submitted. Usually the date is somewhere around November 30th or the first week of December. And the guidance counselor at Cheyne will be walking you through this. And when we were in person, we did this all together in the computer lab. I would go into the classes. This year, while some were at home and such, I virtually went into their classrooms and showed them, our grade 8s, exactly what they needed to do. And then the nice thing that they've added with My Blueprint, years past, we would have to send home a paper copy to a parent, get signed. Now it's built right into My Blueprint, where once a student has filled in their courses for grade 9, we send it directly to a parent's email, and then the parents get that email and they say, I approve this, or no, I don't approve this. And that's a process that will continue for next year. Okay, so when it comes to grade 9 course selection, well, what should you choose? Remember, you don't have a lot of choice. Your choices are confined to which arts credit you're going to take and which other tech credit you're going to take. So what should you think about? Well, what's your learning style? How do you learn best? Maybe what are future goals that you have? What are your parents? That conversation with your parents. Explore My Blueprint now and go in there and see what it says. And then just really looking at, well, what are your strengths and interests that are going to inform the types of courses that you would like to explore. Okay, the next thing that I'd like to talk about is something called regional learning choice programs. Now, some of you might have heard of these. There are elementary regional learning choice programs, and the majority of those start in grade 6. But there are also 11 secondary regional learning choice programs. And so what are these? So these are specialty programs that empower students by providing an opportunity to develop and explore skills in a particular area of interest. And like I said, there are 11 different programs that begin in grade 9. These are programs such as science and technology. This is programs like the AP course, International Baccalaureate, IBT, International Business and Technology, Graphic Design, Leadership Academy. There are so many. There's even a regional learning choice program for high performance sports, right? And so there's all these regional learning choice programs, and it's important that we kind of talk about this right now because the application for regional learning choice programs begins typically in October and it ends in November. And so what are the things involved for applying to a regional learning choice program? I will tell you, there's usually a two-step process. If you do apply, it does cost. There is a $40 fee for each program that you apply to. That's the first thing to kind of note. If you do get accepted into a regional learning choice program, there is usually typically a yearly fee for most of them, and that's usually around $250 for that program. So let's say you apply to a IB, and IB is at Harold Brathwaite on Great Lakes. And so you paid your $40, you applied. It may ask you like an essay question or so that you fill in, and it will also look at your grades. So it's going to look at your grade 7 June report card. So that's coming up. That's important. So try not to, I know it's tough this year, but keep working hard. We have those 9 weeks left to finish off well in grade 7. And it will even look most likely at the learning skills of your progress report in grade 8. Okay, so the 2 report cards coming up. Here's the thing. Lots and lots and lots of students apply for regional learning choice programs, right? They do. Even some from outside of Brampton in Mississauga, outside of Peel, from different areas. They try to get into these programs. And the Peel District School Board has set up a 2-step. First, you get by the first step, which is based on your grades and such. And then the second step is a random draw. Okay, so it's important to know that, a random draw. However, I'm going to add to that, there is a little bit of an asterisk, and I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, let's look at what are the different secondary regional learning choice programs. Well, there's a skilled trades program, so that's, focusing on carpentry, plumbing, electrical. There's a transportation, engineering, and technology. This is one of the only programs in the entire country of Canada like this. It used to be known as truck and coach at Bramalea Secondary School. It's working on transport trucks, on engines, becoming a mechanic. Advanced placement, that's an academic curriculum that is seen across North America. Regional arts program, whether it be in dance, singing, instrument, drama, that is at Mayfield Secondary School. We have a graphic and design management regional learning choice program, the International Baccalaureate, International Business and Technology, International Executive Leadership Academy, regional sports program, SciTech, and strings, so such as a violin. That would be the strings program. This is really, really important point as well when it comes to regional learning choice programs. If a student gets, they apply to a regional learning choice program. So let's say in October, November, they apply. They will still select courses for their home high school. So let's say I'm Heart Lake. I've applied to the IB program, but I also will select courses from my home high school in case I do not get accepted into that regional program. If I do get accepted, and for the IB program, they'll let you know in December, and you have a couple days to either accept or decline that placement. Here's an important part. Transportation is not provided for any student that gets into a regional learning choice program. So for example, that IB program is right almost across from Trinity Commons, if you know where the shopping center is on Great Lakes. Sandalwood and Great Lakes. That's quite a distance. That's 15-minute drive probably from Cheyne, the Cheyne area. students would have to provide their own transportation to get to that program. So very important to know when you're planning ahead, thinking about if you're going to apply to one of these regional learning choice programs, transportation, busing is not provided to students that are part of this program. Okay, so this is new this past year. So I'm just going to read it. Self-identification processes. The Peel District School Board has a commitment to equity and inclusion for all. As such, based on a process of self-identification, admission to regional programs will reflect the need to address historically and statistically significant disproportionalities in enrollment as per student census data, ensuring equitable representation of African, Black, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis students. All African, Black, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis students who self-identify on the application form and meet the criteria for admission will be accepted into the program without participating in the random selection process. Students who are in an elementary regional program and interested in a secondary regional program will need to self-identify again when applying for secondary regional learning choice programs, since it's a separate process and students do not automatically gain admittance to the program. So as I was saying before, there's two steps. First, you have to meet the criteria. That's based upon your grades and such. You have to meet the criteria, and this individual school program decides that. We don't decide that at Cheyne. It's the high school that you've applied to. They decide, have you met the criteria? Okay, yes, you met the criteria. A student who has self-identified in these areas would then be automatically accepted into the program. That's because statistically, they've looked at the numbers and it is disproportionately low for students in these areas are not part of these programs. And so they want to change this, and they want to encourage more people to be trying and going into these programs in different fields in different areas. There's also another program in high school called High Skills, Specialist High Skills programs. And this is a little bit different than regional learning choice programs. The application for this is a little bit different. There's no fee to apply to an Explore High Skills program. And it's just a little bit more of a specialty area. You would be taking regular courses, but you may get certifications. Let's say there's a health Explore High Schools program where you may get your CPR certificate by being part of that program. So these sector-specific programs are available to students in grade 9 and 10 in some schools that offer specialist high skills major programs for grade 11 and 12. Explore High Skills is a specialized program that empowers students through experiential learning, community involvement, and certifications. And so the best advice that I can give you is, and in the time we have today, I can't necessarily go through all of this information, but I will show you where you can go. So if you, and I'm going to share this my slide deck. I'm going to share this with grade 7 teachers, and they'll post it, maybe send it home to parents' emails so you can have this and look at it yourself. But if you click here, this is going to take me to all of the information that I just talked about in terms of high school. There's a page, so path to graduation. So the 40 hours of community involvement hours, you want to read more about that, you can go right there. If you want to, one thing I didn't touch upon is spec ed. So if your child is identified, right, has a identification, those supports will continue in high school. And so you may have more specific questions about that. The 18 compulsory credits, all of the specific information on high school is right here that I kind of talked about in my presentation. You can go to the website and read more detailed responses on what is a requirement for high school and graduation in Peel. The second link that I placed here is all about regional learning choice programs, because I know every year as a guidance counselor, I get a lot of questions about this. So I want to show you where you would go for that. And so there's a link here. And again, secondary learning choice programs. That section that I put on about the self-identification process, I took it straight from this website. There's also presentations that you may find here, right? And talking about regional learning choice programs. And so you may want to choose to watch this. And you can see, well, what are the different regional learning choice programs that are available? And there's even a frequently asked question section. Okay, so right here about what does the application look like and how you do the application, it's all right here. And all the fees that are associated. So if I click on fees right here, this is what I said. So all regional programs include non-refundable application fees and annual program fees. So $40 per program. Most program fees are $200 with the exceptions of the IB program. It's a yearly $250. AP $250. Regional skilled trades is free. There's no fee. And the transportation engineering technology program at Bramalea Secondary School is no fee. Okay. So one other thing that I've added into this presentation is just a document that the Peel District School Board has put out a while ago, and it just talks about the different pathway programs that are available. And so there are things such as co-op education. Now, if you're, I'm sure you remember, parents, when you're in high school, the term co-op, where you get to actually go into a workplace and earn credits at the same time. So I'm not going to read through all the information found in here, but it will talk about, well, what is the co-op program? What is it designed for? And what happens? So it says co-op programs are available in all secondary schools. They can be designed to include up to 4 credits per semester to a maximum of 12 co-op credits towards an Ontario secondary school diploma, right? And so these are some of the placements: retail, marketing, design, arts and media, business technology, health, education, civil services, or skilled trades. Even at Cheyne, we've had students that really want to become teachers, and they've done a co-op within our building. Okay, dual credit is really neat, where it's available to grade 11 and 12 students where they're actually taking college courses while attending high school. And so that's a neat one as well. The youth apprenticeship program. So these are more for our skilled trades. And so this is auto service technician, bakers, cook, hairstylist, child development practitioner, construction craft worker, general carpenter, electrician, plumber, refrigeration and air conditioning mechanic. And again, this is a co-op for grade 11 and 12, but it is specific for apprenticeships. Okay. And then we talked about those specialist high skills major programs. And these are the programs that arts and culture, business, construction, environment, health and wellness, hospitality and tourism, information and communications, technology, justice, community safety and emergency services, manufacturing, nonprofit, sports, and transportation. For example, David Suzuki Secondary School, it's not too far away from where we are at Cheyne. It offers a sports Explore High Skills program. Okay, and then it also shows those regional learning choice programs that we've already talked about. Okay, so when it comes to, and I just want to finish the formal side of the presentation, and then we'll go into some questions. And if you do have more questions, please type them in. I haven't looked at them yet, but I will. I see there's 12 questions in there. These are the main questions when I talk to our grade 7s and 8s. It's all about a learning process. Right now, nobody in grade 7 or 8 or even in grade 9 needs to have their entire life mapped out. That's too much pressure. What you need to kind of figure out about yourself right now is, well, who are you? What opportunities are available to you? What do you want to become? What are your interests? And what's your plan for achieving goals? So in the sense, what are you passionate about? What are the things that really spark your interest? Because high school opens up to all of these really neat programs. For example, Fletcher's Metal has a recording studio. Man, I would have loved that. You see this sort of podcast mic here. I think maybe I would go into radio if I wasn't in teaching. That would have been so cool. And so high school has this ability to give these really interest-specific opportunities. Grade 9, grade 10 is all about exploring what is available to you. And then by grade 11, thinking, okay, yeah, you know what? I've researched on my blueprint. I know there's this college program at Sheridan College that I really want to try to get into. So I'm going to focus on college level courses in grade 11 and 12. And I know the prerequisites that I need to get in. A lot of colleges and universities, you're even applying to their programs right through My Blueprint. So it's really important to kind of understand what My Blueprint is and use it. Parents, you can actually even link your account with your students. So everything they kind of do on My Blueprint, you can see what they're doing. So if you haven't seen My Blueprint yet, ask your son or your daughter today, hey, show me this My Blueprint. I don't know what it is, and they should be able to show it to you. And if they don't know what they're doing, like I said, I'm going to show all of our grade 7s in the coming weeks again before we finish the school year. Okay, so just as I close that formal side of the presentation, I want you to know that you can reach out. So best way is through my my Google email, p0070889@pdsb.net. Again, there's my name, Alan McCautry, and in guidance. And students will email me all the time about questions about high school, and so even like 9:30, 10 o'clock last night. Oh, there's a student question about high school, and I try to get back to them in a timely manner. I want students can also book a guidance appointment with me, and we can meet on Google Meet or on Teams, and just to talk about stuff. So if there's anything that questions that pop up, or they just want to talk about, hey, I'm interested in this career, can we look more at this specific field, or what co-op opportunities are there down the road? I'd be more than happy to meet with a student just to talk about that. And the same goes with parents too. If you'd like to arrange a time where we can have a virtual conference call, that would be greatly appreciated. And so I'm just going to look at the questions, and a bunch at the beginning when I was asking if people could see me. That's great. Yes, we can hear and see you. Okay. What about students who are in gifted program from Cheyne and Cheyne's Not Their Homes On? Great question. So Cheyne, we have some regional programs at our own school, right? We have a gifted program where we have gifted students in our program. So for example, our gifted students right now that have a gifted identification, some of them for grade 8 have applied to regional learning choice programs, and they're headed to their regional learning choice program. Others have decided there is a gifted program that continues in high school, and that is at Heart Lake Secondary School. So the enhanced learning program is Heart Lake, and so students can continue on with their identification to get specialized program at Heart Lake Secondary School. And some students decide, hey, you know what? I just want to go to my home high school. And so they may, the same way that I showed you to find your home high school, you just go in, put in what's my home high school in the information, your address, it will tell you what your home high school is. Okay. Are there regional learning choice paid programs? So I think the question was, does it cost, right? And so are there regional learning choice programs paid programs? Yes, so some of them are free, like I showed you. The Explore the Technology one is is free. The truck and coach one, transportation at Brampton, that is no yearly cost, but all other ones are $200 a year, with the exception of IB and such, which is $240 a year for the years that you're in that program. And in fact, if a student is in IB, grade 9 and 10 is actually not the IB program. It's pre-IB. It's getting them ready for IB. My son is in the IB program, the pre-IB program right now. And he's decided in grade 11, he's going to take some IB courses, but IB doesn't offer everything that he's interested in. So he's going to take some other courses too. So that's decisions that you can make down the road. Okay, well, somebody asked, well, what identifies as Black? Well, it's asking for self-identification. So if that is not my regard to question what somebody identifies as, that's what you're identifying, what you identify as, and you would put that on your application. Okay, so I think the next one was what are some websites or ways to be able to help pass the tests in IB and SciTech? Well, they don't give you tests to get into the program, right? There's no test to get into IB or IBT. It is based upon your grades, right? And so it's based upon your grades, and it's, for many students, it's going to be based upon a random draw, random selection. And so there's, you know, and at the end of the day, and I say this to many students, if you don't get into a regional learning choice program, our home high schools have so many amazing opportunities in them. It does not put you behind at all. Regional learning choice programs are good for some students, they are, but it's not the be all and end all of being successful. You can go to the local, your home high school, and have amazing courses and go to whatever post-secondary education that you want to, and do well. So it's not going to penalize you if you don't get into a program. Okay, so how does the code for D-Stream courses look like for grade 9 and 10? So for example, right now for math, I think they have a W for the D-Stream math code. And so, but you won't have to worry about that. You won't have to worry about putting in the right code. When you go in and click grade 9 math, there may be locally developed and then the regular one. So again, locally developed is for people that are not planning on going to college or university. They're planning to go right into a workplace setting right after high school. And so the majority, almost all students, will be in that regular D-Stream course, and then it's grade 11. You're looking at the college level or university level then. Would they get busing for Heart Lake Gifted Program? The answer is yes. So if you are in that class, those students that are at Cheyne right now for the Gifted Program that get busing to come to Cheyne, you would also get busing to go to Heart Lake, yes. If Heart Lake High School is my community, is it a must that I have to attend that school, or can I apply to Fletcher's? This is a question I get all the time, so thank you, Victoria, for that. So it's just like Cheyne. So sometimes in very specific rare circumstances, students are permitted to go to a school that is outside of the boundary where they live. That decision, however, has nothing to do with us at Cheyne. So there is a flexible boundary form that any school can give to students, and for that to be put in place, both let's say you're going to your home high school is Heart Lake, but you want to go to Fletcher's. So you would have to get the signature of the principal of Heart Lake, the school that you're supposed to go to, and then also the principal at Fletcher's Meadow. Both principals have to be in agreement to allow you to have flex boundaries. And there has to be a specific reason, right? Whether it's childcare or other things of why somebody would be permitted to attend out of the boundary of their home high school. So it happens sometimes, but it not always. And so don't count on that it would necessarily happen. So I said, which school do you think is better of the two schools? Well, they both are great schools, right? They're different. They are. So if you don't judge one thing that not to judge is Heart Lake, because it's older than Fletcher's Meadow. Heart Lake is a little bit smaller. It's a smaller school than Fletcher's. Fletcher's is a little bit larger of a school, but Heart Lake has so many great things. It has auto mechanic, which Fletcher's doesn't have. It has a community center, James Archdeacon, right beside it, with a skating rink and swimming pool. It has $1 million sports field right by it on the property, and which is just amazing. So there's, like every school, there's differences, but in terms of programming and the availability to go to university or whatever program you want to go to, they both offer really great programs. Typically, unfortunately, don't want to blame COVID. Well, I'll blame COVID. Let's blame COVID. Normally, for grade 7, we take kids to their home high school in grade 7. So Heart Lake does something called a tri-day, where we would go and you would be like a grade 9 student for a day while you're in grade 7, but it's the phys ed department running it. So it's all games and fun, and they have a big barbecue for you. So I don't mean to tell you that to make you jealous that you didn't get that opportunity, but really the teachers at Heart Lake and Fletcher's, right, they love kids, and I've there's some amazing things going on and changes happening. I just heard that Fletcher's Meadow has created a university prep course on Black literature. And I said, wow, that's amazing. And so that course is available to grade 11 or 12 students at Fletcher's Meadow. If students have an IEP, will that affect their application for a regional program? No. An IEP is a document that is in place to help a student. It's accommodations and modifications that are set in place. So I'd say no, that should not hinder their application to a regional program. Can we choose the IB program and still continue normal school at our home school? So you can apply to an IB program, but you'll also apply to your home high school. So let's say in December, you'll get an email. You've been accepted into the IB program. Do you accept this placement? And once you accept that, your home high school changes to Harold Brathwaite, and you become a Brathwaite student. So if you decline it, that spot is given to somebody else, and then you go to your home high school. You can't, here's another thing, you can't accept more than one placement. So IB's first because it's always the most popular one. So the regional learning choice programs, you'll find out in December whether you get into IB. You have to choose right then and there whether you accept it, because the other regional learning choice programs, they don't tell you till February, the first week of February. And there's a waiting list too, that like the first round of offers and then a second round of offers. It takes about 2 weeks to get all the offers out. How do we know when the regional programs are open for applying? Well, that's the job of your friendly neighborhood guidance counselor and your school to communicate with that. And also the board is doing a much better job in recent years communicating with parents and sending out flyers and emails and such. And so that's our job, to let you know that it's opened up in the fall. Can I do IBT and another course in the same year? So IBT, it's a focus. So everyone, if you're in an IBT program, you have to take, I think, IBT business. So one of your optional credits has to be IBT business, math, IBT science. I think it even has IBT French. So you're clustered with kids that are in that same program, but you're still doing those mandatory courses that I talked you through about those mandatory courses. The where the changes happen. Let's say you get into Mayfield for regional arts program. You would be taking 2 optional credits, but those are all specific to your arts. So let's say I get in for vocal singing. I won't sing a song to you right now, but let's say I get into vocal singing, then my 2 optional credits, 1 term is going to be singing and 2nd term is also going to be singing. That's where the extra practice of and programming comes into place, that both of your optional credits will be in that specific area. How do they test my kids if they are gifted? Well, there's a whole process for that. And if you have more specific questions about being tested for gifted, I would recommend that I would refer you to one of our in-school support teachers to email you. So if you want to give me an email just with your questions with that, and then I will forward to somebody that can do a better job at answering that question than I can right now. Perhaps I missed it, but are the regional programs accredited? Yeah, they're in the same high schools. It's basically, so if you're taking regional English, it's so the AP course is a separate, so AP and IB. IB is an international curriculum. AP is an American-based curriculum. Okay, so everything else like IBT and SciTech, that's kind of locally developed at the board level. So that's a big difference there. Is it possible to take grade 9 math in grade 8? No, unfortunately, you cannot take any high school credits until you're actually in high school. However, some students, I'll use my son as an example again. So let's say last year he took, he was in grade 9 last year. So he did his courses in grade 9. But then in summer school, those 2 half credits, civics and career studies, he wanted to pick what he wanted to do during the school year. So he took civics and career studies as a summer school course. So you can take credits in summer school, and in some cases, night school as well. If you have any issue which will not allow you to do any community service, what can we do? Are there alternatives available? Like doing something online. Yeah, even during COVID right now, some organizations have actually offered online work, right? And so here's an example. Like I said, I live in Georgetown. I'm not in Brampton, but the local library has a youth advisory council. And so my son was part of the youth advisory council. So when COVID came, they still met in Zoom meetings. And what did they do? They talked about different things, different ideas and programming that they can bring into the local library. And he got volunteer hours for that. And that was online. So yes, for sure, you can do volunteer hours online. Since grade 9 and 10 don't have applied or academics, so prerequisites are not required for grade 11 courses. That is right. That's right. The prerequisites are not there for grade 9 and 10. It is at the grade, when you're in grade 10, when you select courses for grade 11, you'll be able to decide whether you're taking a college level or university level in grade 11 and 12. What school has better sports courses? Ooh, okay. Well, they're both pretty high. What would I say? Okay, one thing I know about Heart Lake, they have a hockey course that they offer with that arena right beside them, where you can get one of your credits playing hockey, and that's kind of neat. I haven't heard that before, but like I said, they're both of their phys ed departments, and they offer so many different sports like field lacrosse and field hockey and stuff like that we don't have at the middle school level. Is there an AP program for math and information technology? No, the AP program is one program, and that's offered at Central Peel Secondary School. Okay. I think I will wait for a second. Is there any? Oh, there are more questions here. Okay, I think that is all of the questions that have come through. Thank you everyone for coming out, and you can tell your friends and family that if they didn't see this is recorded. So I will share this with teachers, and hopefully I have answered your questions. If not, please email me, get a hold of me, and I will get those answers for you. So Really appreciate everyone spending their Wednesday evening talking about high school. And I wanted to say this at the beginning too. Thank you, students. Thank you, parents. This has been a really tough year. We know that. We know that online learning is really challenging. We have great families at Cheyne. So just wanted to let you know, as the guidance counselor, I have to add that feely, heartfelt message too, is that we know it's tough. We know it's tough, and we're here for you. If there's anything you ever need, support in any way, please, please, please contact us. So with that being said, I'm going to end the call, but thank you, everyone. Hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you later.